Welcome again. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed group of named professors, including the newest recipients of endowed chairs and the distinguished leadership of our UMass Chan Medical School campus.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us here, and welcome to the University of Massachusetts Chan's 2022 Convocation and Investiture Ceremony. I'm Terry Flott. I'm the Provost of the UMass Chan Medical School and the Dean of the T.H. Chan School of Medicine, the only public institution of its kind in Massachusetts. This annual academic event serves as a fitting and festive way to mark the start of a new academic year. The ceremony is a genuine celebration of the faculty, who are the heart and soul of this academic institution. They collectively advance our mission, one defined by ingenuity and passion, as well as by commitment, collaboration, and collegiality. Through the presentation of the 4 Chancellor's Medals and the conferral of 6 endowed chairs, we will recognize outstanding faculty colleagues who exemplify the characteristics that have come to define UMass Chan Medical School. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome to the podium Chancellor Michael F. Collins to deliver his annual convocation address. Chancellor Collins.
The feel of a baby's first intrauterine kick, first smiles, first steps, first memories, first hopes and dreams. Few, if any of us, can remember our own. Yet these moments bring great happiness for those who love us. Couples cherish the opportunity to feel their child's little hand or foot as it pokes outward to signal its presence. Parents send and post pictures of their baby's first smiles that warm their hearts. Videos capture the precious moments when, with urging and encouragement, a child can teeter-totter forward for the first time, and do those videos make the rounds? Memories, hopes, and dreams are less easy to record into posterity. We can't capture them in a photo or a video. They're not visible or tangible. And we recognize that hopes and dreams, when absent or dashed, can result in great sorrow. How many times have we heard parents recount, our beautiful child met developmental milestones. Their first birthday was a magical and messy experience of cake and frosting, covering them from head to toe. But with time, the magic gives way to misgivings, and an unfortunate few parents lament, almost always in an instance, we knew something just wasn't right. No longer did our child follow our gaze. Their steps became uncertain to absent. Their words were silenced to murmurs, and we began to panic. With this realization, the search for answers begins in earnest. There are internet searches and calls to pediatricians and advocacy groups. There are visits to doctors and centers near and far. There's worry and angst. And hope is replaced by anguish and fear. Now, we've known for some time that there are 7,000 or more diseases characterized by the scientific and medical communities as rare, but little was understood about their causes. Today, thanks to momentous research advancements and innovations, we have the tools and know-how to elucidate the mechanisms of many of these rare diseases, determine which gene or genes may be defective, and use that knowledge to create the vectors, oligos, or other delivery mechanisms to deliver correcting genetic material. No longer is this science fiction. It is bolstering and building our confidence that we can and will change the course of the history of these diseases. At UMass Chan, this is a moment we've dreamed about and are now making a reality. Our mission is enabling and our cause ennobling. Our expertise is suffused with humility. Our collegiality and collaboration guide our actions. Our determination cannot be diminished. The outreached hand of a child provides our highest motivation, compelling us to action in a family's moment of greatest need. As a new academic year dawns for the 16th time, it's a privilege to welcome all of you to our Convocation and Investiture ceremonies. For those of you who are our most ardent supporters, we add a very special welcome that conveys our sincere gratitude for your generosity. 1 year ago, we were emboldened by the Morningside Foundation's transformational gift. It was and continues to be humbling to be the beneficiaries of Dr. Gerald Chan and his family's confidence. Their support and outstanding philanthropic commitment encourage us to reach for new heights of accomplishment and impact. Proudly, we embrace our new name as we plan for an even more ambitious future. And what a year it was. We broke ground, literally, as blasting of the earth provided us with the foundation for our new education and research building. We've watched with amazement as the building skeleton has emerged from its moated hole and now adorns the beginning of its shell and core, a building that will house groundbreaking science and teaching. With great pride, we opened a new VA facility on our campus so that the needs of our area's veterans could be better served. What a moment it was as veterans stood in salute as the doors to their new facility opened for the first time. In this bright new state-of-the-art community-based outpatient clinic, we honor veteran service to our nation as we play our part in fulfilling our country's commitment that forever they will be cared for with dignity and respect. Together this past year, we made significant progress in so many of the tenets of our Impact 2025 strategic plan. Rightly, we added a sixth pillar to denote the significance of efforts in diversity, equity, and inclusion, as we recognize that this is an especially important moment for DEI commitments to be advanced, relevant, and accessible. Despite continued challenges posed by the coronavirus, smartly we recruited and welcomed 3 outstanding classes of learners, our most junior colleagues, and we continued efforts to redesign their curricula to keep it contemporary and responsive to the needs of our professions. So too, we recruited outstanding colleagues to our faculty as we continued to demonstrate that ours is an academic community that is most accomplished, innovative, and dynamic. Commonwealth Medicine and Mass Biologics continue to be unique entities that are incredibly supportive to our mission and instrumental to our academic and financial success. And we remain committed to our local communities, particularly the communities of Worcester, Springfield, Mattapan, and Fall River, and grateful for the support that we receive from our legislative and city leaders. We benefit from the many collaborative interactions that are underway in partnership with our fellow UMass campuses. We're appreciative of President Meehan's advocacy efforts, and we are heartened that the legislature and Baker-Polito administration fully funded the university's FY23 budget request, providing much-needed resources in support of our premier public research university in most challenging times. For all of these reasons and more, it's easy to be bullish about our future. I assure you that because of the efforts of our learners, faculty, and staff, our state's public medical school is sound as we enter this new academic year. Now, given the many contributions that our faculty make to the success of our institution, it's proper that we celebrate their many accomplishments with the awarding of Chancellor's medals. Again, this year, we received so many nominations from within our community. It's affirming to review letters of support from those near and far who are most accomplished in their fields as they note the many attributes of our talented faculty. As teaching lies at the heart of our great university, we shall again this year begin with the presentation of the Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Teaching. An educator who's been described as fair, approachable, accountable, dedicated, kind, exceptional, realistic, and who is unfailingly patient, enthusiastic, and a passionate teacher. A fierce student advocate with a gift for valuing the personal journey of students. It's a privilege to present this year's Medal for Distinguished Teaching to Dr. Melissa Fisher. Congratulations. If you could stand in the box, and if you would feel comfortable taking off your mask, it would be good. Yeah. Dr. Fisher, for more than 2 decades as a preeminent educator across the spectrum of curriculum innovation, you have shaped the education of medical students, residents, and fellows. Throughout your record of innovation in course development and engagement, you have served as course coordinator and curriculum developer over many years and multiple iterations. It's said that as a visionary educator, you've been able to challenge the status quo, hear the voices of multiple stakeholders, and develop consensus-building skills that have shined brightly. An engaging school leader, you've been at the leading edge of educational innovation and change, culminating in your stewardship of comprehensive curriculum design for the School of Medicine. In fact, it's claimed there is not an element of our new curriculum, Vista, that does not bear the mark of Dr. Fisher's deep knowledge and caring for educating the next generation of healthcare providers. You've reached abundant awards and accolades for your teaching, both in the classroom and throughout the clinical environment. You've received numerous STAR awards. We're the first recipient of the Sarah Stone Endowed Fellowship in Medical Education. And we're recognized by the AAMC with a Curricular Innovation Award for the development and implementation of our opioid safe prescribing training immersion, or OSTI curriculum. In fact, this curriculum, developed in response to a most serious unmet need caused by the opioid crisis, and as an answer to the state's call for the urgent development of a model curriculum, has been described as game-changing for medical students, residents, and nursing professionals. You are a provider with intense compassion. You have the innate ability to listen, understand the perspective of students, and execute projects and their ideas in ways that meet the needs of those students. You see education as a means to empower a diverse physician workforce. You have an unrivaled enthusiasm for education. You exude an extraordinary dedication, passion, and mentorship. You embody the quintessential traits of a teacher. But most importantly, you are a beloved and visionary educator. Dr. Fisher, as the recipient of this year's Medal for Distinguished Teaching, I invite you to present the 2023 last lecture, a celebration of teaching where all of us can benefit from your commitment to teaching as we become your learners. So too, you shall receive the Manning Prize, a $10,000 prize established by Donna and UMass Board Chair Robert Manning. These are indeed fitting recognitions for one who's been committed to teaching throughout a most illustrious career. It's a privilege to present you with this year's Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Teaching. Congratulations. And maybe you just turn it so that they're perfect. And then we'll just take a picture. It's a special privilege each year to recognize an outstanding investigator by bestowing the Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Scholarship. The research accomplishments of our faculty are most noteworthy and influence science worldwide. As a medical school, we've been most fortunate to recruit exceptional scientists and clinical investigators to create a research enterprise that's known for its innovation, collaboration, and collegiality. Each year, we select from amongst our great faculty one member whose research accomplishments bring distinction to our institution. This year, we recognize an investigator who's been described as an extraordinarily creative scientist and an original thinker, whose work is highly impactful and who is known as a superb scientist and scholar. I am pleased to present this year's Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Scholarship to Dr. Marianne Walhoot. Congratulations. If you would take your mask off, if you feel comfortable. Thank you. Dr. Walhoot, you're an international leader in the field of systems biology, wherein one seeks to understand complex biological systems in terms of regulatory mechanisms that operate on multiple scales. You've pioneered the use of the nematode, C. elegans, as an experimental animal for systems-level investigation of animal development and host microbe interactions. In fact, your science has explored the dialogue between C. elegans and its microbiome, which is probably what C. elegans pays the most attention to in its world. You've demonstrated that multiple types of complex networks operate in cells, and that various networks must intersect with each other functionally to functionally organize cellular functions. Single-handedly, you have developed tools, methods, and concepts to understand how gene regulatory networks underline genotype-phenotype relationships. The elegance of your science, as one who supported your nomination stated, contributed invaluable evidence to support the concept that cells are not just bags of molecules, as interesting and fascinating as molecular biology reveals proteins or RNAs to be, but that instead, cells are highly organized complex systems, the non-intuitive properties of which need to be revealed in order to decipher the intricacies of genotype-phenotype relationships. You have pioneered the use of cross-kingdom genetics consisting of comprehensive genome-scale genetic screens for both the bacterium and its animal host to identify bacterial as well as host genes responsible for biologically relevant interactions between the two organisms. You're known as a most respected member of our scientific community, as a dedicated mentor, and as an inspiring role model for women in science. You have an extraordinary talent to combine your ability to synthesize information, creativity, and your technical fearlessness and willingness to dig into new subjects, all the while motivating your trainees to be as energetic and enthusiastic as are you. Marianne, as the recipient of this year's Medal for Distinguished Scholarship, I invite you to present this year's plenary lecture at our upcoming research retreat. This is most fitting for one who has made such a major impact on science in our community. It's a privilege to present you with this year's Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Scholarship. Congratulations. And if we could just take a picture. Congratulations. Over the years, it's been wonderful to present a medal to a clinician who's made a lasting impact on the lives of their patients. Always, it's so affirming to read the words of a dedicated physician's patients as they recount the many ways they've been cared for and about. This year's recipient has affected countless patients through dedication to a practice that assures all have the clinical input and knowledge to lead healthier lives. No doubt our colleagues' individual patients' lives have been profoundly impacted. But our profession and those for whom we care are much healthier because of this clinician's commitment to the public's health. It's a distinct privilege to present this year's Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Clinical Excellence to Dr. Ira O'Keen. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. In the box, if you would. Dr. O'Keen, in 1975, you arrived on our campus literally as the paint was drying and before the university's hospital opened. In fact, you designed and guided the building of the first cardiac catheterization lab and were a pioneer in creating a cardiology service. But your service to patients across the nation is the hallmark of your clinical excellence. Your efforts in preventive cardiovascular medicine have made a significant impact on cardiovascular patient care and preventive health strategies. You've been called a true visionary, and as one observer noted, probably done more than anyone to prevent the development and mitigate the progression of cardiac disease. Your career went from building the cath lab to trying to prevent cardiovascular disease so that a patient never had to enter it. For all patients, you've emphasized prevention and in so doing have helped reduce cardiovascular risks by elucidating the effects of smoking, diet, exercise, excessive drinking, weight loss, and medication adherence to cardiovascular outcomes. You served as a consultant to 2 Surgeon General reports on smoking at health, at times when the doctor's room was full of smoking skeptics. What was striking in the recitation of your accomplishments by those who advocated for your selection was that you've been known as the go-to cardiovascular specialist for many, and that the knowledge you've imparted has included explanations about the significance of the left ventricular function in racing greyhounds and the 3-centimeter thickness of the carotid artery of the giraffe.
Very important.
Yeah, very important. To the benefit of all patients, you're a talented and responsible cardiologist, innately curious, known for your caring, kindness, compassion, and selflessness. Your scholarly work has focused on bridging behavioral science and medicine. Ira, please accept this fitting recognition for one who has cared for individual patients and for populations, for one who has engaged the community in its role in prevention, and for one who has served this institution and your patients for nearly 5 decades. It's a privilege to present you with this year's Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Clinical Excellence. Congratulations. There you go. And if we could just take a picture. If we just take a picture here.
All right.
Wait just 1 second here. We're going to just take a picture. Yeah, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
I do have to say that Judy sitting over there did most of the smoking end of this. We did a lot of work together. Thank you all.
Finally, each year, one individual in our community is recognized for a career-long dedication to our institution and their profession. The Medal for Distinguished Service recalls extraordinary commitment. It relates sincere appreciation for outstanding contributions, and it respects one among us who is singular in their dedication to our medical school. This year's recipient is known as an effective communicator, a thought leader, a compassionate mentor, and a tireless advocate. As a respected and dedicated leader who is thoughtful and kind, trusted and mission-driven, and who has impacted the lives and careers of thousands over many years of service. It gives me great pleasure to present this year's Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Service to Dr. Deborah Demarco. Congratulations. Dr. Demarco, for 3 decades, you've served our institution and its learners. Your work has yielded demonstrable, substantial, and long-lasting contributions to our campus community. As an educator, clinician, program director, mentor, and for more than 20 years as the senior-most dean responsible for our graduate medical education learners and programs, your service has literally determined the life trajectory of so many of our resident physician colleagues. Throughout the years, you have contributed to undergraduate medical education, diversity efforts, and have so ably provided support to people with disabilities. In so many ways, you've served as a bridge between the medical school and the clinical system. Your honesty and transparency have guided your many interactions with learners and faculty alike, and you have been a most influential mentor to junior faculty and program directors. Your service has included so many important contributions. You're the author of the Institutional Commitment to and Senior Advocate for the Appropriate Treatment of Learners policy. You insist and ensure that work-life balance is made a priority. In fact, you've been immensely creative in making the life experiences of our trainees better by developing and executing on a myriad of interventions. During the early stages of the pandemic, your efforts were most appreciated as you advocated with state agencies to assure that our early medical school graduates could receive their provisional licensure in a timely fashion so that they could provide much-needed surge medical services. Additionally, you assured that these new graduates received the support necessary to be effective in these essential roles. You've brought noteworthy recognition to our medical school by your service. You advocated for our selection as the recipient of the DeWitt C. Baldwin Jr. Award in recognition of work that is exemplary in fostering a respectful, supportive environment for GME trainees and the delivery of patient care. And you received the ACGME Parker J. Palmer Courage to Lead Award that honors designated institutional officials who have demonstrated excellence in overseeing GME programs. Deb, I'd like to invite you to carry the mace at all university functions throughout this next year. This recognition is most fitting for one who has been such a stalwart leader for our medical school over your many years of service. It's a distinct and special privilege to honor one who has meant so much to our medical school community with this year's Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Service. Congratulations. Much deserved. We could just take a picture. A few weeks ago, several of our new faculty colleagues were together with a donor discussing what is so special about our institution. One noted, the medical school has momentum, and that attracted me to come here. Now, as I reflected on that comment, I began to think of how I might describe that momentum to those who want to know us better. How I could make the case that it mattered that our medical school had momentum. Now, many of us remember from our physics studies that momentum equals mass times velocity, P equals mv. But I wasn't sure that everyone would understand that formula completely. So I went to an online physics classroom and found this explanation. Momentum can be described as mass in motion. All objects have mass, so if an object is moving, it has momentum. The amount of momentum that an object has is dependent on two variables: how much stuff is moving and how fast that stuff is moving. So given that this erudite faculty member was certain that our institution had momentum, now I plan to discuss the stuff that makes that so. First, let me comment on our workforce and our workplace. We benefit greatly from the efforts of all who work so concertedly to assure that our medical school can maintain fidelity to its mission. I am most grateful that so many have worked so hard, especially in the past 2 years, to keep our medical school humming. People have noticed. Last month, we were recognized by Forbes as one of America's 2022 Best in State Employers. This recognition was created through a survey of 70,000 U.S. employees across 25 industry sectors. Direct recommendations came from our employees, as well as indirect recommendations from workers in our industry, if you will. The survey considered every aspect of an employee's experience, such as working conditions, salary, potential for growth, and diversity. Of the thousands of entities eligible for this recognition, only a select few are awarded in each state. Indeed, we are just one of 7 institutions in Massachusetts' vast educational ecosystem to be so recognized. Congratulations to our outstanding workforce for this terrific recognition. Furthermore, anxiously we await the results of feedback from our employees in the coveted Boston Globe Top Places to Work competition. All top workplaces are based solely on employee feedback. There are no subjective elements to the process, making top workplaces the credible, authentic employer recognition program. If selected, the announcement will come in early December, and we're looking forward to receiving a positive response from our employees. Now, while such recognition is wonderful, this year it's imperative that we redouble our efforts to engage and celebrate our workforce, enhance programs to further their education and growth opportunities, develop best-in-class employee recognition and wellness programming, and remain competitive in our compensation and benefits packages. Furthermore, we should become an employer of choice for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We must be committed to a clear plan for how we'll become a more diverse, equitable, anti-racist, and inclusive community for our learners, faculty, and staff. Our people are our future. The size of our workforce is large, and together we're moving fast to fulfill our mission. Clearly, we have enormous momentum. Now, all recognize the needs that we shall face now and into the future to educate learners who can follow in our professions. When our medical school was created, a commitment was made that we would educate primary care practitioners for the Commonwealth. We have done so and are committed to continuing to fulfill this essential public need. But we know with the Great Resignation underway and with the challenges faced by practitioners in nursing and medicine, added to the knowledge that the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects a need for nearly 180,000 additional nurses per year through 2029. And the Association of American Medical Colleges predicts a shortage of between 37,800 and 124,000 physicians by 2034 in primary and specialty care. It's essential for us to continue to provide enhanced opportunities for learners. We're fortunate to have committed faculty at each of our affiliates. UMass Memorial Health, our principal and longest-standing affiliate, was created by the legislature to assure that our respective institutions had a linked destiny. With other clinical affiliates spanning from the Berkshires to Cape Cod, we're most fortunate that we've been able to educate more learners in medicine. The establishment in 2015 of the UMass Chan Medical School Bay State campus leveraged the expertise, sophisticated technology, and national reputation of Bay State Health in Springfield. The Perch program represents an innovative approach to medical education that focuses on the complex social and environmental factors affecting health issues common to Western Massachusetts' urban and rural populations. Knowing that we need to continue to advance health sciences research and medical education priorities critical to the needs of the Commonwealth, I'm so encouraged that we're now pursuing the establishment of a second branch campus in partnership with Beth Israel Lahey Health, Lahey Hospital and Medical Center in Burlington. With appreciations to Dean Flott and Larkin for their stewardship of this most important initiative, we shall now pursue with enthusiasm approval from the LCME and NICHE to establish a second branch campus. As we continue our discussions with our newest colleagues from BI Lahey, we shall plan for a creation of a new Institute for Healthcare Delivery Science and Quantitative Research Hub to advance innovation in digital medicine, population health, and healthcare delivery, and hopefully soon welcome new chairs, faculty, and learners to our vibrant academic community, a medical school with great momentum. We've had an exceptional year in our faculty recruitment efforts, recruiting more than 270 new faculty across the basic and clinical sciences, including 15 to the tenure track. As we progress with the construction of the new Education and Research Building and prepare to occupy the facility in early 2024, we shall address the need to increase the number of graduate students who populate and power our research labs. So too, in nursing, given the extraordinary number of nurses who are choosing to retire or leave the profession, it's essential that we do all that we can to provide opportunity for those who wish to pursue careers in nursing, a truly noble profession. And it's especially important that we attract those who express an interest in becoming the next generation of nursing educators, researchers, and leaders. Now, to maintain and build upon the momentum that we've established, we must continue to identify sufficient resources so that we can realize our full potential. In the year ahead, we shall announce the public phase of a new Pathways of Promise campaign. This comprehensive campaign silence phase has been underway for several years, and in a campaign that will conclude in 2026, we hope to raise $500 million to assure our medical school's future. Our medical school has so many needs that could be fulfilled with a successful campaign. We must continue to attract scholarship support so that our learners can avoid amassing burdensome debt while in pursuit of their education. It should be our goal to meet the full financial need of our learners. While we have been fortunate to attract substantial financial support for endowed chairs, we've established a goal of 75 endowed chairs by 2025. With 63 endowed chairs now in place, clearly there's more work to be done. Now, while the NERB is an adequate placeholder name for our new building, it would be much more desirable to secure a naming gift for this signature facility and the other educational, institute, and research spaces throughout the medical school. As we consider the need to create additional research space, it would be ideal to attract a combination of state capital support, medical school funds, and philanthropic support for our next research facility, and that we do so soon. The Morningside Foundation's gift has captured the attention of so many throughout the world of philanthropy. By leveraging our incredible momentum, it's our intention to fulfill the ambitious goals of a new comprehensive campaign over the next 4 years. In the areas of the Impact 2025 strategic plan that focus on research, we've made important commitments to expand our basic science research enterprise while enhancing our translational science efforts so that our basic scientists and clinician investigators can collaborate on impactful research to ameliorate disease conditions. With the full support and advocacy of President Meehan, the Board of Trustees' approval of our new Education and Research Building during the height of the pandemic is a tangible example of such commitment. Research brings hope to the human condition. For a patient or family faced with the daunting questions of a life-changing diagnosis, their ability to cope with the challenges they face is enabled by the hope they can sustain. There are few weeks that pass when I'm not contacted by a patient or family member, often from distant places, when they come to learn the repute of our medical school. There was the woman athlete who was at the top of her game until she noticed some weakness in her neck muscles and some fuzziness in her thinking. Having just recovered from a bout of COVID, she dismissed her concerns until she noted weakness in her legs. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in her home country, but was concerned that she needed to come to an American health sciences system. As she was completing her workup, our team made the additional diagnosis of multiple myeloma. How could this be happening to me? she exclaimed. But now, she's enormously comforted by the fact that our clinicians are monitoring her progress and are prepared to enter her into the appropriate protocols should her disease progress. I'm especially proud that our institution has initiated several first-in-human clinical trials, more appropriately characterized as paradigm-changing translational research. The parents from Europe became concerned that their child was not meeting the developmental milestones that they had observed with her older sibling. When their local pediatrician made the diagnosis of Tay-Sachs disease, they took to the web and approached Dr. Flott. Given the extraordinary work of UMass Chan scientists, particularly Dr. Estevez of our Jorge Gene Therapy Center, Dr. Flott assembled a team that has enrolled this patient and others in a first-in-human clinical trial, which to date is showing promising results. In just a few weeks, Dr. Brenda Wong and her team will conduct a first-in-human CRISPR-based gene therapy trial for a patient with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Patients with ALS call with regularity to be seen by our renowned Dr. Brown. While his care and compassion rival any clinician depicted in the artwork of masters, equally importantly, Dr. Brown has initiated first-in-human trials in his fervent attempt to cure this nefarious disease. Atrial fibrillation is a ubiquitous disease that afflicts many. Within the month, our clinician investigators, under the leadership of Dr. Kevin Donahue, shall be initiating first-in-human trials to ameliorate this condition in those who are susceptible to the post-operative complication of atrial fibrillation. Now, returning to that discussion with our new faculty that I referenced earlier, several noted how fortunate we are that our basic science and clinical facilities are in such close proximity. There is an expressed desire by our basic scientists to collaborate with our clinical colleagues. In so doing, this faculty member observed, "You can be what you are and benefit greatly from the talents of your colleagues." Further, he commented how wonderful it is to be at an institution where faculty members celebrate the accomplishments of their colleagues. This is the stuff that increases our momentum. On many occasions, I've had the good fortune to learn of the outstanding science of our colleague, Dr. Guangping Gao. In the mid-90s, Dr. Gao identified the gene that was responsible for the absence of the enzyme aspartosilast, causing Canavan disease. This extraordinary discovery has spawned the efforts of two companies and has led to first-in-human clinical trials. Imagine the pleas of the parents of children with Canavan disease. Our beautiful child suddenly began to lack head control. They seemed to stop following our movements. And they developed abnormal muscle tone that prevented crawling, walking, sitting, or talking. In time, seizures and then paralysis set in. Many of these children do not live past their 10th birthday. Guangping has told me about the requests that come to him, often late at night, when parents call to plead with him for help. Dr. Gao, like so many faculty members, takes the time to answer those frantic calls and desperate emails. In fact, I'm pretty sure that many of you in this room have been in a similar position, buttressing hope in the face of desperation. UMass Chan is an extraordinary community of committed scientists and clinicians. When this medical school was envisioned in the early 60s, not one person could have anticipated what our institution would become. They may have had dreams for our potential, But at that time, should those dreams have depicted our schools of today, they would have been derided as delusions of grandeur. A lonely field has become an academic health sciences center of international repute. Our faculty is an assemblage of those with keen intellect, outstanding drive, an entrepreneurial spirit, and an idealism that embodies their actions. Our learners and graduates are highly accomplished, principled, and possess grit and determination. Our staff are committed and selfless. UMass Chan Medical School is without question a genuine field of dreams. In a most poignant comment made in that faculty gathering of which I have spoken, one of our colleagues, when relating why he came to our medical school, stated, "UMass Chan is making me dream again." How wonderful it is that we can attract the most talented in our professions to join an academic community that is boundless with its energy and unbridled in its possibilities. We prove that you don't have to sleep to dream. We can come together each day to plan for new facilities and programs. We can commit ourselves to find cures for those whose hope would be gone were it not for such efforts. We can recruit and retain those who can help us realize our ambitious plans. Together with those who support us, there are no boundaries that cap our potential. In the year ahead, with the dreams we shall have, let us remember those most in need of the bounty of our goodness. Many of us dreamed one day that we would be scientists who made important discoveries, nurses who comforted the afflicted, or physicians who would hold the hands of their patients with esteem. As we contemplate such a future, let each of us believe that UMass Chan Medical School is making all of us dream again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So Chancellor Collins, thank you for your remarks, in particular, some of your remarks about the patients and families and their pleas for us to help. And I know I speak for a lot of the scientists and physicians who you mentioned in saying that the fact that you're proud of us is really quite important in terms of us feeling the support of the institution. And it still hurts to hear from the families that we can't help, and we certainly do on frequent occasions. I also want to acknowledge and congratulate the medal recipients. You're standard bearers of excellence in each and every one of our 4 missions. We're extremely proud of you as well. We're going to transition now to the second half of today's ceremony. That's the investiture. This, in fact, is our 21st investiture ceremony. And every year, the university invests some of our most accomplished faculty with endowed chairs and recognize the visionary support of those donors who make these invaluable endowments possible. This investiture comes, as the Chancellor said, more than 50 years after our founding, and the strategic focus that we have placed on philanthropy and particularly on establishing new endowed chairs has yielded incredible gains. In fact, this year, we had to have 2 investiture ceremonies. This past June, due to the extraordinary growth in our named professor ranks, we had to hold a special investiture ceremony for our 5 inaugural Manning chairs. These were made possible thanks to the generosity of 2 well-known university champions, UMass Board Chair Rob Manning and his wife, fellow UMass alum Donna Manning. A few short months later, we gather here today to invest 6 other incredible faculty members, thus underscoring the fundraising momentum, as the Chancellor said, of this institution. We now have 61 sitting named professors, 21 of whom were women, while 2 other chairs are awaiting appointments. While we have much more work to do to achieve gender parity, when Chancellor Collins and I arrived here, there was only 1 endowed chair held by a woman, now 21. We've made progress and will continue to make progress as we partner with our special group of donors who decide to endow a chair for faculty use. The endowed chair donors are indeed an important and impactful group of philanthropists, those who partner with us to establish a uniquely valuable asset directed to our most coveted resource, our faculty. We understand and appreciate that our special group of donors are, in essence, forever linking themselves and their families, their names, with the mission of this medical school. It is a public and permanent bond. As the current stewards of this tremendous resource, it is our obligation to select faculty members worthy of the distinction. These chair endowments will last in perpetuity. That in itself is a statement of confidence in the future. As you walked in today, I'm sure you saw the construction of the massive new structure right next to this building, which we call the New Education and Research Building, or NERB, as the Chancellor mentioned. I hope it serves as tangible evidence to you that this university is also very bullish on our future. Now, our confidence in that future rests on our confidence in our faculty. The 6 faculty members to be formally invested today are among our most impactful physicians, researchers, and educators and leaders whose visionary efforts have transformed clinical care, translational research, basic research, and education. They are, in fact, deserving of their special recognition, and we look forward to highlighting both their past achievements and anticipating their future accomplishments. I now have the great pleasure to invite Chancellor Collins back to the lectern to do the investments. Chancellor Collins.
All right, so we begin this afternoon's ceremony by investing Dr. Celia Schiffer as the Arthur F. and Helen P. Koskinis Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Biotechnology. Dr. Schiffer and Provost Slot, would you please come forward? Innovative and pioneering scientist, celebrated mentor and champion for promoting diversity in science and medicine, influential and dynamic research leader, Dr. Celia Schiffer, it's a privilege to recognize you today at this investiture ceremony. With a focus on overcoming the challenges of drug resistance in a range of diseases through your studies of its molecular basis, you have developed a new paradigm for avoiding resistance through structure-based drug design. Prolific and productive since joining our institution as a principal investigator in 1998, your research has yielded nearly 200 publications and $50 million in funding. You've been a leader in launching research initiatives which have enhanced our institution's reputation, catapulted careers, and enriched the scientific community at large. A fellow of the American Academy of Microbiology, a previous Massachusetts Society for Medical Research Educator of the Year, and a recipient of the prestigious William C. Rose Award from the American Society for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Your contributions and commitment to science and the community of scientists have been heralded far and wide. At UMass Chan, you've been a founding member of the director of the Center for AIDS Research. You were a driving force for the establishment of Mastery and the regional cryo-EM facility. And you are the founder and director of the Institute for Drug Resistance, an initiative facilitating, supporting, and promoting novel approaches to the worldwide challenges of drug resistance. Importantly, you are broadening your scientific impact by applying the lessons learned from your work on infectious diseases such as HIV and hepatitis C to treat a range of other conditions, cancer among them. Your lab is energized by the interdisciplinary curiosity and multicultural perspectives you promulgate among doctoral students, postdocs, junior faculty, and peers. Your sharp intellect is matched by your active engagement with learners as you are a sought-after mentor whose lab integrates camaraderie with scientific rigor. Your dedication to learners has been recognized with UMass Chan's Outstanding Mentoring to Women Faculty Award, and you are the recipient of the inaugural Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Mentoring. Eager to embrace new responsibilities and goals, you were invested in the Gladys Smith Martin Chair in Oncology in 2019, but in 2021 assumed leadership of one of the most innovative and scientifically accomplished basic science departments in the country as Chair and Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Biotechnology. With profound appreciation to Mrs. Helen Koskinis and the late Arthur Koskinis, our most generous supporters, I'll now ask Dean Flott to join me in the investiture of Dr. Celia Schiffer. Dr. Schiffer, for all you have done the middle. For all you have done to advance health through basic research, for sharing your passion for scientific discovery, and for elevating and enriching our educational environment, it is a privilege to invest you as the Arthur F. and Helen P. Koskinis Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Biotechnology. Please accept this medallion as a sign of our sincerest gratitude and admiration. Congratulations. Congratulations. We're going to take a picture. Here we are. While Provost Flott assisted me, however ably, he'll be better prepared come the next one. Trust me, I've been with this guy a long time. I know exactly how it works. While Provost Flott assisted me in investing Dr. Celia Schiffer, we're so pleased to be joined by Mrs. Helen Koskinis, who together with her beloved late husband, Arthur Koskinis, is among this medical school's and indeed the Regent's most dedicated and distinguished philanthropists. Helen, UMass Chan Medical School feels entirely privileged to welcome you here today and to convey our heartfelt appreciation to you and Arthur. You sit before us today as a proud pillar and inspiring matriarch of a Worcester family whose extensive and expansive support of biomedical research in general, and our research enterprise in particular, has been nothing short of extraordinary. Your and Arthur's principled philanthropy is responsible for the creation of not one, but two endowed chairs here at UMass Chan. Together, you first established the Arthur F. and Helen P. Koskinis Professorship of Biochemistry and Molecular Biotechnology, which was created to support the chair of this department. Just moments ago, we invested Dr. Schiffer as the chair's second holder. More recently, you took the extraordinary step of establishing a second endowed chair at UMass Chan, the Arthur F. Koskinis Chair in Neuroscience, to celebrate the life and legacy of your beloved husband, Arthur, who, like this medical school, was a true Worcester success story. From Worcester's public schools to Harvard's storied halls to the U.S. Army's barracks, Arthur made the most of every opportunity, reaching to new heights and realizing his American dream. Arthur's gift for seizing upon opportunities undoubtedly led him to the greatest gift of his life, you. Although born in Ohio and educated in New York, you readily embraced Worcester as your home many decades ago. Together with Arthur, you built a life and a legacy here. Over the years, you and Arthur amassed an incredible record of civic engagement, community volunteerism, charitable work, and philanthropic giving. The full extent of your generous spirit is perhaps most poignantly felt here at our medical school. Your unparalleled generosity and unrivaled commitment have contributed mightily to our own success story, one that's still being written. This remarkable generosity, which serves as a compelling and inspiring example for others to follow, forever links in a public and profound way the Koskinis name to our Commonwealth's public medical school. We're most proud of this enduring association. With deep gratitude for your unparalleled generosity and steadfast commitment to UMass Chan, we applaud and salute you and your late husband, Arthur, for your instrumental and impactful support, and we thank you. Thank you. We'll take a picture. No, we'll take a picture. Dr. Schiffer.
Thanks very much, Chancellor Collins, Dean Flatt, and the Board of Trustees for your support. I'm truly honored to be named the Arthur F. and Helen P. Koskinis Professor in Biochemistry and Molecular Biotechnology. I'm also extremely grateful to the Koskinis family for their amazing generosity. I recently had lunch with Mrs. Helen Koskinis, who, as you heard, is here today, and learned firsthand of her curiosity and interest in our vision here at UMass Chan. She is an amazingly insightful woman who grew up in Ohio and moved east to attend Vassar College before meeting her husband, Arthur, and having their family. As you heard, Mr. Koskinis, I learned about Mr. Koskinis, and although I never had a chance to meet him, I learned his life followed the American dream. With Greek immigrant parents, he grew up in Worcester. His education took him to Harvard and then serving in the Air Force during World War II. He was an attorney for more than 50 years in Worcester. Helen and Arthur's lifetime of community involvement, leadership, and philanthropy has been so important over the years to the Worcester community and specifically to UMass Chan's fundamental research. This support has made a critical difference, especially when public confidence in science is so low. Thank you, Helen. I'm very honored. UMass Chan is an extremely special place. When I accepted a position 25 years ago, that this was an exceptional environment to grow my lab, and I was not wrong. UMass Chan, empowered by our leadership, is a place with a lot of grit and can-do attitude, where the walls are low and an individual can make a difference. Congratulations to the Chancellor's award winners and to my 5 other colleagues getting invested today. I am honored now to lead the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biotechnology as together we grow. The passion, energy, drive, and curiosity of the faculty, postdocs, students, and staff is contagious. We come from many diverse backgrounds and many corners of the earth, all desiring to have an impact, and together our unique perspectives make a difference as we learn, teach, mentor, and discover. I appreciate how much all of you care, especially after the last challenging 2.5 years. Thank you. This is a very exciting time in biochemistry, where we are making breakthroughs by skating on the interfaces of fields, often between biology, chemistry, math, physics, and medicine. I appreciated the momentum comments. Always applying and developing the latest technology to gain molecular insights. In fundamental research, we elucidate genomics, biological mechanisms, and determine structures of macromolecular machines. We characterize key biological pathways or what changes in diseases. In our applications, we develop probes, design and discover inhibitors, engineer nanoparticles, trying to thwart many of the diseases plaguing the world. We approach these questions with an integrated interdisciplinary approach, an adventurous spirit, and a can-do attitude. I can't wait to see where the future will take us and what discoveries we make as we grow and recruit new faculty and scholars. Drug resistance, in my opinion, is one of the daunting problems in modern medicine and has been the focus of my own research program. I wouldn't be here without my amazingly bright, diverse lab, both past and present. Having the privilege to mentor over 60 scholars of every shade from around the US and the world, together we have been making key inroads into anticipating and avoiding drug resistance at the molecular level. Thank you. My original role models and mentors are my parents, Dr. John Paul and Dr. Mary Ann Schiffer, both scientists. They were always enthusiastic to have the privilege of doing science in a free and open society. Having lived through Nazi and communist Hungary, they settled outside Chicago, passionately pursuing their science and lovingly raising my brother and I. My mother, Mary Ann, is a critical role model. A protein crystallographer, started her career in the 60s when society, even her boss, believed women should stay at home rather than doing science. She is still analyzing protein structures involved in photosynthesis. While I lost my father this past June, his love of family, nature, and physics is awe-inspiring, publishing his last paper at the age of 91 this past April. Thank you, and I miss you. Once again, I thank the Koskinas family for your vision to support biomedical research. I'm truly honored to be the Arthur F. and Helen P. Koskinas Professor in Biochemistry and Molecular Biotechnology, the visionary of UMass Chan administration, my inspiring departmental colleagues, my amazing lab, my loving family, and most of all, my daughter Naomi. Thanks so much.
Now it's my pleasure to invest Dr. Roberto Curricular as the new recipient of the Miles J. McDonough Chair in Rheumatology. With Dr. Curricular and Mr. Neil McDonough, please join me at the podium. Neil, welcome.
Michael, congratulations.
Expert and empathetic academic rheumatologist, respected thought leader on lupus and related autoimmune disorders, caring clinician and sought-after collaborator and mentor. Roberto Curricular, it's a privilege to welcome you to UMass Chan Medical School and to recognize you at today's investiture ceremony. Following your medical training in your native Italy, you established a research career as a faculty member at the University of Pennsylvania Perelman School of Medicine. As an investigator, you have contributed a significant body of research into the underlying causes of autoimmune diseases, and particularly lupus, opening promising pathways to potential therapies by focusing on the roles of cell death and bacterial infection in the advent and relapses of systemic lupus erythematosus. Several years into your research career, you changed your trajectory and moved across Philadelphia to Temple University to fulfill your aspiration of becoming a practicing physician scientist in the United States. After completing further residency training in rheumatology at the Lewis Katz School of Medicine and earning your medical license, rapidly you rose through Temple's faculty ranks, ultimately reaching the rank of full professor of medicine and leading that school's rheumatology section as its chief. Now, while there, together with your partner in work as in life, Dr. Stefania Gallucci, you created and led Temple University's Autoimmunity Research Center, a team of 15 multidisciplinary physicians and scientists collaborating to advance biomedical science's ability to treat and someday prevent systemic lupus erythematosus and other autoimmune diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis and Sjogren's syndrome. When the medical community was confronted by the confounding mysteries of the often deadly cytokine storm in some COVID-19 patients, you hypothesized that repurposing various rheumatology therapies might help. Demonstrating your uncanny ability to coalesce the collective efforts of frontline clinicians, researchers, and statisticians, you spearheaded the development of a new strategic therapeutic approach for COVID-induced cytokine storm at Temple, which has been lauded as an innovative modality. Now, after many years in Philadelphia, this past summer, you and Dr. Gallucci left your longtime home in one Commonwealth to find a new home in ours. We feel privileged to call you our new Chief of Rheumatology and to recognize you as the Miles J. McDonough Chair in Rheumatology. With profound appreciation to the late Miles McDonough and Mrs. Jean McDonough, I now ask Mr. Neil McDonough, their son, to join me in the investiture of Dr. Roberto Curricular as the Miles J. McDonough Chair in Rheumatology at the University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School. Dr. Roberto Curricular, for your exemplary contributions to the field of autoimmune disorders research as a model physician scientist and academic rheumatologist, and for enthusiastically assuming the mantle as chief of our division of rheumatology, it's a privilege to invest you as the Miles J. McDonough Chair in Rheumatology. Please receive this medallion as a token of our commitment and confidence in you. Congratulations. Innovators, leaders in business, culture, the arts, economic development, and unquestionably, one of the region's most influential families for more than 50 years. Neil McDonough, UMass Chan Medical School extends its appreciation for the trust your parents placed in us. From humble beginnings in a garage, your late father, Miles McDonough, with equal parts business acumen, dogged determination, and infectious optimism, turned Flexcon, the company you have so ably led for many years, into a global leader in coated and laminated films and adhesives used in graphics, applications, manufactured goods, and new products. As the company grew, so did your parents' commitment as a genuine force for good to strengthening the civic and cultural organizations that bind our region together. Applying the same approach that distinguishes your company, namely solving intricate technical problems with economy and elegance. Your mother and father distinguished themselves as indispensable supporters and champions for a host of institutions, be it the Worcester Art Museum, Bancroft School, or WPI, as well as for the thousands of school children in the region who grew up using FlexCon materials from the school stock program. For decades, your parents offered their expertise, invested their energy, shared their ideas, and committed their support to the organizations in the region that value the importance of a practical approach to problem solving, leavened with a deep appreciation for art, music, history, healing, and the natural world. Back in 2013, at this very ceremony, your mother, Jean, stood where you stand today to help invest the inaugural recipient of the Miles J. McDonough Chair in Rheumatology. On this day, as we invest our new Chief of Rheumatology as the second holder of the McDonough Chair, we thank you for carrying forth the rich legacy of civic engagement and philanthropic investment that your parents instilled in you and your siblings, and that you have so willingly and enthusiastically embraced as chairman of FlexCon. On behalf of a grateful institution, please know that we are deeply moved by your family's generous support, which will undoubtedly benefit patients and positively impact future generations. Indeed, we thank you. I'm just going to take a picture here. Roberto, take one together. Here we are. Great.
Yes. By the way, Chancellor Collins is among the ones that best pronounce my last name as an American native, yes. So Chancellor Collins, Dean Flott, Mr. McDonough, colleagues, and friends and family. So to say that this is an honor and a privilege, it is a massive understatement. First of all, I am in the company of an incredibly accomplished faculty. It is very humbling and inspiring when you are surrounded by such a powerhouse that has made and continues to make our institution a world leader in scientific innovation, education, and clinical care. So it took quite a long journey for me to join UMass. And I'm from the hills of Rome, the Eternal City, where I trained as a physician, to the green Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where I met my mentor and trained as a scientist, to the world-class University of Pennsylvania, where I learned what leadership is made of, to Temple University, where I once again cared for patients and studied in my laboratory the pathology that brought them to me, and where I also became a leader and learned from my patients what social suffering truly is. And now I'm here. Now, to be honest, I'm here because of the relationship that I built over the long process that it took to come here with David McManus and Kate Fitzgerald, which is wonderful. But now I'm here, and in an institution that has a contagious leadership vision, a vision that I fully share, a vision that it wants to shape the future in a better one, and by fighting diseases at their genetic core, by embracing the digital world to enhance patients' care, and by innovating education to prepare healthcare providers for a very complex world. But although I'm the one who has been invested at such a great institution, this is not about me. It's about the individual who actually made the chair possible. It's about Miles J. McDonough and his legacy at UMass, and in particular, in the Division of Rheumatology. I learned that Miles McDonough was the embodiment of the American dream. He built FlexCon, as we heard, from a garage in Spencer, Massachusetts, into a global company, with the determination of a dreamer who never gave up innovation. He also surrounded himself with outstanding individuals and helped them excel. He was devoted to his family, especially his late wife, Jean, He built his company with her and shared the success with the rest of his family. His son, Neil, is now carrying on the legacy and bringing Flexcon, I learned, to new heights, literally, including NASA. I can only imagine how proud he must be of his parents. Miles McDonald was down to earth, I learned, and related to others the very same regardless of their social extraction. Perhaps that is why he was tremendously generous, and so was his wife. Together, they were a staple of booster betterment, from the arts, we heard, to the healthcare industry, to the scientific research. Their foundation is so involved with the community in Booster that the McDonald legacy will be here with us forever. Finally, and very importantly, Miles McDonald was a patient. And for the other aspects of his life, he was an exceptional patient. He had an uncommon but devastating and deforming arthropathy that can debilitate and take away the ability to perform tasks that we all take for granted. But not to Miles McDonald, no. He lived almost 2 decades with a disabling condition without letting it take the best of him. Always with an innovative mind, even he devised a system that he could button his shirts. He never felt sorry for himself. He carried on with his life in full and continued to help others in need. He simply refused to settle for less in the face of a disease and set the example for all of us on how to face and overcome adversities. So now, how can I make sure that the legacy of an extraordinary individual and an extraordinary family will continue in a division of rheumatology at our institution and beyond? Well, I thought by trying very, very hard to follow his steps. So he represented innovation. Well, therefore, we will grow our group of world-class scientists in the division. We also will embrace the digital health revolution and innovate by improving and bringing the rheumatology care to patients' homes. He embodied community service and generosity. Well, we will engage with the Central Massachusetts communities by ways of leading patients' educational programs and workshops and supporting groups. Finally, he was a patient with a complex disease that did not respond to therapy. Well, the Division of Rheumatology is now positioning itself to provide a number of innovative and specialized programs for complex rheumatic diseases and other advanced clinical trials not otherwise locally available. And finally, yes, those are definitely big shoes and big steps. But I think that his life example will give us guidance, and for that, I thank him very much.
Next, we are privileged to invest Dr. Jean Bentley Lawrence as the recipient of the Leo P. and Therese M. LaChance Chair in Medical Research. Dr. Lawrence and Ms. Donna Ruiz, would you please come forward? Esteemed investigator and educator, creative and imaginative thinker, accomplished leader in science, Dr. Jean Bentley Lawrence, it's a privilege to recognize you at this investiture ceremony today. Building a stellar record of scholarly achievement, more than 40 years in the making, your lab bridges fundamental questions of developmental epigenetics with translational research, studying the common problem of chromosome abnormalities, particularly in Down syndrome. An internationally recognized leader in the field of epigenetics, chromosome regulation, and non-coding RNAs, you have advanced research into the developmental pathology of Down syndrome. In 2013, you and your colleagues were the first to demonstrate that the underlying genetic defect responsible for Down syndrome can be suppressed in pluripotent stem cells in vitro using Exist, a discovery that opened new pathways for translational research, and in 2020 led to a groundbreaking study that elucidated a naturally occurring off switch for the female X chromosome. During your tenure at UMass Chan, you have distinguished yourself as one of this institution's most prominent, preeminent, and productive basic scientists. Tackling fundamental questions with an interdisciplinary approach and a translational mindset, you undertake basic science research with an eye toward clinical applications and solutions that directly impact human health. These qualities have made you a highly regarded thought leader in your field, as well as a prolific and well-funded principal investigator. Indeed, your paradigm-shifting research has received continuous NIH grant funding since 1988, including a Research Career Development Award and a Eureka Award for high-impact research. And you have published 130 peer-reviewed papers that have been cited more than 15,000 times. A dedicated educator, you have been a leading contributor to the design and delivery of T.H. Chan School of Medicine's Human Genetics Medical School curriculum and are sought after by learners in the lecture hall and the lab. For these reasons and more, it's most fitting that we recognize you today. With a profound appreciation to Leo and Teresa LaChance, I'll now ask their daughter, Donna Ruiz, to join me in the vestiture of Dr. Lawrence. Dr. Jean Bentley Lawrence, for your outstanding and greatly important contributions to the field of epigenetics, as well as advancing fundamental and translational research focused on Down syndrome, and for enriching our academic enterprise in myriad ways for so many years. It's a privilege to invest you as the Leo P. and Teresa M. LaChance Chair in Medical Research. Please receive this medallion as a token of our high praise and lasting gratitude. Congratulations. Devoted partners and parents, your parents would be upset you weren't paying attention. Here we go. Devoted partners and parents, ardent champions of their cherished Gardner community, and generous supporters of medical research. Donna Ruiz UMass Chan Medical School extends its appreciation for the confidence your parents placed in us. Your parents, Leo and Teresa LaChance, may have been born in northern Maine, but they made a home, raised a family, and built an enduring legacy in Gardner, Massachusetts. For 70 years, your parents made helping others their life's work and enriching their beloved community through their civic focus. Driven by a set of core values that oriented their actions outward, Leo and Teresa, over the course of many decades, left an indelible mark on numerous civic, social service, educational, and healthcare institutions throughout Worcester County. When they saw an emerging need in the community, they raised their hands and willingly asked how they could help. They were most generous benefactors of many essential community resources, and their rich legacy of altruism and engagement is perhaps most poignantly evident within the city of Gardner, where a best-in-class nursing home, a wing of the hospital, and the library at Mount Wachusett Community College bears the LaChance name. Here at our institution, through the endowment of the Leo P. and Teresa M. LaChance Chair in Medical Research, your proud family name and the rich legacy of civic engagement and support that your parents left behind will endure. With deep gratitude for your parents' generosity that will provide support to one of our most accomplished and impactful faculty members, we recognize and celebrate Leo and Teresa LaChance for their tremendous support, confidence, and courage. Thank you. Donna, if I could present you with this. Yes?
Thank you. Okay.
If you want to step in here.
So I want to thank the Chancellor and the Dean, but also particularly Donna Reese, but the LaChance family for this honor, and it truly is an honor. It was impressed upon me when I was a child that there are many children born with disabilities that put them at a disadvantage from the very start. And I remember walking with my older cousin, Patsy, who had cerebral palsy, and she couldn't walk or do much on her own. And so this made a deep impression on me. But I particularly remember that Patsy was happy for me that I could dance and sing and move about. And it was that generosity of spirit I thought of when I thought of the LaChance family and this honor. Because it's remarkable to me how this family, who worked so hard and developed so much in their lives, was challenged by the birth of Nicole and Kenneth, who developed developmental and intellectual disabilities. And I understand that Nicole is still alive and has had a good life, in part because her family responded with such love and dedication and commitment to make those lives good, but also to make the lives good of other children who are born disadvantaged. So I share this kind of hope to improve the lives of children that are born with disabilities. And I really appreciate this award. I want to mention that we've heard here about the incredible progress under the leadership of Dean Flott and Chancellor Collins, particularly in the field of gene therapy, and it is remarkable. The gene therapies that are being developed are generally for conditions that are single gene defects caused by a change in one gene. But there's a whole category of developmental disabilities that's caused by small changes in chromosomes, either the duplication or deletion of many genes. And this is a substantial category of the human genetic burden, which has been beyond the hopeful advance of genetics and medicine by and large. The work that my lab started to do now a number of years ago was to take some discoveries in epigenetics and translate it to this common problem with people in genetics. And so we're continuing that, and we're very hopeful that this can help forge a new path to deal with this area of disabilities and genetics that's sort of been beyond reach. So I want to thank the Dean, the Chancellor, but also the LaChance family for this. But I particularly want to take a moment to thank my family and the workers in my lab. I particularly start with my late husband, who ironically died over 20 years ago here at UMass Medical School. And his love and integrity and strength has been an inspiration to me and my 3 sons. My oldest son went on to be a graduate of UMass Medical School. My Matthew, who wanted to get here but couldn't today, went on to, he's a national leader in healthcare law and a faculty member at Emory. And my other son went on to be director of the policy division at DOJ Antitrust. They really got the foundation, largely from their dad, and I'm very proud. I want to also mention my mother, my father, and who managed to raise 6 kids, Dow, Greg, Niles, Sally, Julie. And I want to especially thank the members of my lab, some of who are sitting here, and the members that have worked on this for many years, long-term colleagues who've been with me for decades, like Meg Byron, Lisa Hall, Steve, Kelly Smith, and sorry, I'm just going to mention the names. Kushali Gupta, Eric Larson, Melvis Valador, Wanchan Jing, and visiting scientist Lucas Sosa. So I don't want to go on too long, but I realize you all realize that the work that I'm being acknowledged for was really done by many other people, and I greatly appreciate it. Finally, I'll just note that some people here will be aware that I've had other challenges in my professional career during my many years at UMass, and this is doubly meaningful for me for that reason, and I want to thank the Dean and the Chancellor and the LaChance family. Thank you.
Now it's a distinct pleasure to invest Dr. Alan Mullen as the Mary C. DeFutis Chair in Biomedical Research. Dr. Mullen and Provost Slott, would you please come forward? Nationally recognized physician scientist, thought leader in the field of liver disease, engaged and effective teacher, and sought-after mentor. Dr. Alan C. Mullen, it's a privilege to welcome you to UMass Chan Medical School in our community and to recognize you today at this investiture ceremony. You're joining UMass Chan, drawn to our university's world-class research and leading RNA community, as well as the institution's uniquely collaborative approach from renowned research institutions, where your research is helping to discover therapeutic targets to inhibit the development of liver cancer. Your academic career features faculty appointments at Harvard Medical School, including a faculty position at the Harvard Stem Cell Institute, and as a full member of the Harvard Medical School's Initiative for RNA Medicine. In 2021, you were promoted to the rank of associate professor and named an associate member at the Broad Institute. In your clinical practice, you have excelled as a member of the Massachusetts General Hospital's Liver Center, where you cared for patients with elevated liver function tests, chronic liver disease, hepatic fibrosis, and cirrhosis. In this setting, your bedside manner, expertise, and care served as a model for fellows, residents, and medical students to emulate. Indeed, you've been recognized twice with Mass General's Robert H. Shapiro Award for excellence in inpatient clinical training. Your work as a physician informs and shapes your role as a principal investigator overseeing a burgeoning lab. A common theme of your team's research has been elucidating how long non-coding RNAs can be targeted to modulate specific cell types to promote resolution of liver fibrosis, an integral occurrence in the progression of end-stage liver disease and liver failure. A Pew Research scholar who is well-supported, principal investigator in major studies, you fulfill myriad service roles, including as an editorial reviewer for some of the most preeminent scientific journals. In addition to being recognized by the leading national and international research organizations in your field, you were the recipient this year of Mass General's Research Scholar Award. While you have already achieved tremendous success as a physician scientist, we at UMass Chan see that you're poised to realize even greater impact as you join our academic community and step into the position as Academic Chief of Gastroenterology. With profound appreciation to Mrs. Mary DeFutis, one of this institution's most cherished and important benefactors, I'll now ask Dean Flott to join me in the investiture of Dr. Mullen. Dr. Alan C. Mullen, it's a privilege today to invest you as the Mary C. DeFutis Chair in Biomedical Research. Please receive this medallion as a symbol of our steadfast support for your professional success here at UMass Chan, as well as our utmost confidence in your future contributions to this institution and the broader RNA community. Congratulations. Congratulations, Alan, and welcome. I'll just take a picture.
Thanks. I want to certainly start off by thanking Chancellor Collins again for his support, and I know I wouldn't be here today without the support of him and many others here who've convinced me what a wonderful place UMass is. I also wanted to certainly thank Mary DeFutis for this wonderful award. I know she's not here today, and I haven't had a chance yet to personally meet her, but certainly look forward to doing that as soon as we have the opportunity. I also know that she, in addition to supporting this endowed chair, has done numerous other investments here at UMass. So I, again, really feel honored to be one of those investments for her. I also want to thank Dr. McManus, Dr. Fitzgerald as well for kind of bringing UMass to my attention, to showing me all the wonderful opportunities that were here. And I know I've only been here now a few weeks, but I did want to explain a little bit of what had gotten me so excited about coming to this institution. When I visited on multiple occasions, the vision driving the growth here was clearly palpable. Whether or not I wanted to talk to people in my field or people who weren't quite sure maybe why I wanted to talk to them, everyone was happy to find time to talk, and I met a lot of very collaborative and welcoming scientists here who were really, again, a fantastic force driving the research here. And this is happening also just right across what I'm sure soon will be a nice green lawn from the medical center, where there's just fantastic clinical research going on. And I'm really excited about trying to bring the clinical and the research side of the communities together. I'm the academic chief of GI now, and certainly look forward to any opportunities to try to do that. So I'd say to anyone here who's doing research that's related to gastrointestinal disease, anyone who has colleagues doing that and would benefit from that clinical expertise from within the GI unit or from clinical samples that would allow them to do experiments they're not able to do, please come talk to me, because we really want to bring these two groups together, and I think that'll benefit both sides of the community. It'll also benefit the trainees, both on the research and on the clinical side. To say a little bit about my research, and I think it will also benefit tremendously from being here as well. I take care of patients who have liver disease. We watch patients in clinic who develop end-stage liver disease, fibrosis that can progress to cirrhosis, and we don't have much to offer them in terms of treatment other than putting Band-Aids on the symptoms that develop until they need a transplant. We know the cells that drive this process. We understand that fibrosis is really the driving factor in these cases, and so we've been really focused on trying to understand how to reverse that. And the support I have here from this award will certainly allow us to expand that research and expand that also into areas of liver cancer, which primarily develops. Over 90% of cases of liver cancer do develop in a background of fibrosis as well. And finally, having grown up in Alabama, a small college town, I know I wouldn't be here without the support of family, without many mentors, both on the clinical and the research side, and in the hard work of all the members of the lab over the last 10 years. I do want to take a moment also to specifically thank my wife, Marion, who's here today. I know all of us in science, we keep weird hours. Those of us who are physicians also are getting paged in the middle of the night, disrupting sleep, and can sometimes get cranky as grant deadlines approach as well. So I appreciate it, and I'm sure that is a common sentiment of all the support on that side of things. And finally, as we think about science, science is really driven by big visions, whether or not we're trying to establish programs or build institutes. But on the day-to-day basis, science, at least from my perspective, is really about a kind of a intense focus on the minutia. And if we're being honest about that, that's probably a level of minutia, that only a small handful of people in the world actually could understand and care about. But I do want to thank Marion, and again, I assume this applies to many spouses or significant others here for attentively listening to those discussions, providing really pertinent questions that allow me to think through and work through those things and be excited to get back to work with new ideas the next day. And finally, again, I wanted to thank everyone here, and I really look forward with a chance to work with many of you in the UMass community over the years to come. So thank you very much.
It gives me great pleasure now to invest Dr. Michelle A. Kelleher as the first recipient of the Ardani Cancer Fund Chair in Biomedical Research. With Dr. Kelleher and Provost Flott join me at the podium. Trailblazing scientist, impassioned investigator dedicated to advancing therapeutic targets for pediatric leukemia, cherished mentor and exemplary research leader, Dr. Michelle A. Kelleher, it's a privilege to recognize you today at this investiture ceremony. Your record of scholarly achievement in the lab appropriately has positioned you as a nationally recognized investigator in the field of hematological cancers and in particular leukemia. Indeed, from the earliest days of your research career, you have distinguished yourself as an innovative, high-impact investigator. As a graduate student, you developed a mouse model of chronic myeloid leukemia that is still widely used today. And as a postdoctoral fellow, you were the first to demonstrate that Tal1 is an oncogene that causes leukemia in mice. Since joining UMass Chan Medical School in 1998, you have nurtured, supported, and advanced the scientific journeys of numerous graduate students, while adeptly leading a thriving lab strategically focused on oncogene-mediated leukemic transformation and drug resistance in pediatric T-cell lymphoblastic leukemia. Recently, your lab identified a dormant leukemia-initiating cell population that is chemotolerant and conducted screens to identify novel mechanisms of glucocorticoid resistance, a feature associated with relapse. You've helped to elucidate how cell death contributes to inflammatory disease and autoimmunity. As co-leader of the Cancer Genetics Research Program, you are coalescing, amplifying, and accelerating the impact of our colleagues' discoveries made in many labs right here on our campus. In short, the whole of your research contributions has helped to advance our understanding of cancer biology and may potentially facilitate novel cancer therapeutics. Ultimately, your foundational basic science work is focused on a clear and compassionate objective: to prevent the relapse of pediatric acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Your exceptional contributions have been recognized by leading organizations such as the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, from which you received a postdoctoral fellow award, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of America, which has honored you with several prestigious research awards, the Sidney Kimmel Cancer Research Foundation, and other worthy groups. With profound appreciation to the generous supporters of the Our Danny Cancer Fund, I'll now ask Dean Flott to join me in the investiture of Dr. Kelleher. Dr. Michelle A. Kelleher, for your trailblazing accomplishment as a cancer biologist and your myriad meaningful contributions to this medical school as a senior faculty leader in the Department of Molecular, Cell, and Cancer Biology, it's a privilege to invest you as the inaugural holder of the R. Danny Cancer Fund Chair in Biomedical Research. Please receive this medallion as a token of the highest regard and admiration we have for you. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. A special thanks and appreciation to Chancellor Collins and Provost Flott, and to the Danny Cancer Fund donors that made this honor possible in being named one of the first R. Danny Cancer Fund chairs in biomedical research. It's been a great privilege to be part of the UMass Chan Medical School for the past 24 years. I joined the faculty before the construction of the new Education and Research Building, before the Sherman Center, and even before the Lazar Research Building. Throughout my tenure here, as Chancellor Collins mentioned, I've been committed to blood cancer research and an active member of the Cancer Center. For the past 12 years, I've been a member of the Molecular Cell and Cancer Biology Department, and I'm grateful to my chair, Dr. Michael Green, for his support, for the freedom to expand my research programs into new areas, and for providing a basic science environment where I've continued to learn and develop as a scientist, and for the opportunity to take on leadership roles within the department, university, and the Cancer Center. As Chancellor Collins mentioned, I've been dedicated to leukemia research since I was a graduate student,
focused on a model for chronic myelogenous leukemia and then later for acute lymphoblastic leukemia, where we could provide genetic evidence that the oncogene involved in that disease works by interfering with the developmental functions of other basic helix loop helix proteins in the thymus. We demonstrated that the disease is driven by mutations in Notch and that Notch transforms cells by directly activating the oncogene MYC. We were able to perform preclinical trials on the efficacy of Notch inhibitors and later in BET bromodomain inhibitors that target MYC in mouse leukemia models, and importantly, in patient-derived xenografts from children with relapse or drug-resistant disease. Recently, with work in the lab, we have identified a thymic progenitor population important for leukemia initiation, and Kevin O'Connor, a MD-PH student in the lab, applied single-cell RNA-seq to monitor leukemia development in the animal and discovered that a subset of these cells appeared dormant or cell cycle restricted. These dormant so-called leukemia-initiating cells emerge during the pre-leukemic stage, are maintained in leukemic mice, and appear chemotolerant, leading us to hypothesize that these cells underlie relapse in these children. Together with Kelsey Wagner, another graduate student in the lab, who's advanced to PhD candidacy yesterday, we are working to define critical regulators of LIC dormancy that we think will be applicable to cancer stem cells and many other malignancies. And of course, the long-term goal of the lab is to understand dormancies so that we can chemosensitize these resistant cells. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in terms of understanding childhood leukemia and in our work on the interface between inflammatory cell death and autoinflammatory disease. The leukemia work that we've done has been supported by amazing colleagues at this institution, and really one of the features of the institution that Dr. Mullen mentioned, it's the collaborative spirit and the willingness to share unpublished data. For our leukemia work, I have to give a shout out to Lucio Castillo, who's been my long-term colleague in leukemia work, and Sharon Cantor, who we share many discussions together. And of course, the cell death and autoinflammatory disease work has been supported by the innate immunity program here, led by Kate Fitzgerald and others who have been wonderfully generous with their time, their ideas, and their expertise. All of this work really would not be possible without the talent, commitment, and dedication of the people who have worked in the lab. I've had the privilege of training 10 PhD students and 10 postdoctoral fellows, and the lab's been supported by amazing talent of research associates, all of whom I'm proud to say remain in science and medicine today. Although proud of our research contributions and the continued success of my trainees, I'm equally proud of my family who joins me here today. My son, Paul, is a successful financial advisor, along with his wife, are wonderful parents to my first grandchild. My daughter, Elizabeth, excels as a commercial real estate analyst, and next weekend will marry her fiance, Brendan Abraham, adding a data scientist to our family, which I'm delighted about. So my youngest daughter, Caroline, was born the year I started here at UMass Chan and is now an alum of UMass herself, UMass Amherst, the alum of the Commonwealth College, and a recent graduate of Columbia University's Teachers College. She's currently working in Framingham as a special needs teacher dedicated to achieving educational equity for all children. And finally, I want to thank my parents for encouraging my sisters and I to enter STEM fields before STEM fields was a thing, and they encouraged us to become electrical engineers and scientists. Most of all, though, today, I need to thank my husband, Paul, who's continually ranked as a Massachusetts super lawyer for expertise in construction litigation. He has always been there to listen attentively to the minutiae. and to have faith in me when maybe I did not, and for tolerating my focus when we have a saying in the family, mom's in grant mode, which means leave her alone. I'm forever grateful to my husband and my family who continue to inspire and support me. Many thanks of all of you here today for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here to recognize our research contributions. It's deeply appreciated.
I'm pleased now to invest Dr. Eric H. Barricky as our second recipient of the Ardani Cancer Fund Chair in Biomedical Research. Would Dr. Barricky and Provost Slot join me? Celebrated teacher and engaged mentor, passionate and preeminent scientist committed to advancing the study of molecular cell and cancer biology, and scholar and visiting professor at institutions around the world. Dr. Eric H. Barricky, it's a privilege to recognize you today at this investiture ceremony. In the realm of training the next generation of biomedical research scientists, you have few peers. Among the nearly 40 postdoctoral fellows and graduate students who have successfully met the high standards of your laboratory are those with appointments at some of the most preeminent research institutions and programs around the world. Reflecting your extraordinary commitment to mentoring those who will follow in your footsteps, you have served on more than 100 graduate student thesis committees. As a scientist, your work in the field of autophagy, the intricate, orderly process by which cells degrade and recycle their components, is at the forefront of an exciting wave of understanding that explains the implications of this process for models of human disease. Your laboratory was among the first to show that autophagy can be required for dying cells in vivo. Importantly, you collaborated on the seminal research that demonstrated how the process works in mammalian cells. Since those early discoveries, you and your colleagues have made vast progress in advancing the field, especially in understanding how these mechanisms work in models of disease, since defects in autophagy are associated with movement disorders such as Parkinson's disease and Huntington's disease, ALS, inflammatory disorders, and many types of cancer. You've been an Ellison Medical Foundation Senior Scholar in Aging and a visiting professor at the University of Paris. Closer to home, you are deeply involved in your community, serving on the STEM Advisory Board for your local school system, as an advisor and lecturer for advanced placement biology classes, and as a board member of the Essential Science Foundation. You are a prolific author, contributor, advisory and editorial board member to a multitude of publications, as well as a sought-after speaker at academic programs near and far. With profound appreciation to the generous supporters of the Ardani Cancer Fund, I'll now ask Dean Flott to join me in the investiture of Dr. Barricky. Dr. Eric H. Barricky, for your pioneering scholarship in the field of autophagy and your exceptional dedication to training the next generation of scientific leaders, it's a privilege to invest you as the Ardani Cancer Fund Chair in Biomedical Research. Please receive this medallion as a token of our gratitude, respect, and commitment to your exceptional career. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks, Chancellor Collins. Thanks, Dean and Provost Flott. I'm really honored and moved to be a part of this community. You are my mentors, my teachers, my committee members. You have guided me and you have challenged me to be a better scientist and a better community member. I want to start by addressing a little bit on the momentum theme and bring my own story to this. I was actually born in Memorial Hospital. And I fondly remember driving past this field and watching it transition to this amazing institution. And my dad would drive a Chevy Impala, and we didn't use seatbelts in those days. So his first stop was at the donut shop, and my sister and myself would sit in the front seat next to him, and the momentum was his acceleration and rapid stopping, and he'd say, "Hold on to the dashboard." But the momentum really is about this medical school. It's remarkable to have been in this community since essentially my birth and watched what has happened here and what it's become today. I study autophagy, process of the way cells eat themselves. And it's at this time of day when autophagy is at its greatest, when we're waiting for our next meal. So I want to keep this brief. I am what is well known as standing between you and the next step in your day. But first, I just want to acknowledge a few people. First, Chancellor, Provost, and Dean Flott, thank you very much. Michael Green, my chairman, he's been extraordinarily supportive, enabled me to pursue research areas that may not have been possible without his generosity. I want to thank the colleagues in my department. It's a remarkable group of scientists, friends, and collaborators. You help me in ways that I really can't communicate. I also want to thank all of the members of our faculty. This is an extraordinarily special place. The collaborative nature, the collegiality, the support is incredible. I also want to thank the staff within our department. It's an award-winning staff. They enable me to focus on my science, and I want to make sure that those people are recognized. I also want to thank the graduate school. No one has mentioned the impact of the remarkable training program that we have here. It's quite impressive. And I also want to thank the Office of Research. I wouldn't be standing here without the ability to submit my grants, and I also am writing a grant now, so I'm in grant mode, as Michelle said. I have many collaborators. My research has been driven through remarkable interactions with physicians and scientists. Too many to mention, and I'm afraid if I tried to, I would leave many of you out, and I don't want to do that. Probably most important for my standing here are my laboratory team, the members past and present. This is not my award. This is our award, and I want you to know that, through this generous gift, we can do more in the laboratory, and I really appreciate what it does for me. Many individuals at this institution are deserving of this, and I know I would not have received this without you, so thank you. And finally, I want to thank my family, Anya, Owen, Ansel, and Nina, and my recently deceased parents. You have stood by me from the very beginning, driving to Spags on Route 9, holding onto that dashboard. Some of you may remember Spags. I think Ira at least does. And you've believed in me. You've gone through those moments where maybe you've sacrificed things for me that have enabled me to really pursue my dreams and my passion in science. So with that, I thank you. I'll let you go on to have your next meal. Chancellor Collins.
Ours is a most special community defined by a collaborative spirit and characterized by individuals who excel in their endeavors, whether that's in education, research, patient care, or philanthropy, as in the case of our generous donors. The support of our benefactors is most vividly demonstrated through our august group of named professors, the total number of which has surpassed 60 and counting. These compelling institutional ambassadors collectively underscore why UMass Chan is a jewel in the university crown. The presence and participation of so many of our esteemed named professors reflects and reinforces the special collaborative and collegial culture that distinguishes and defines this medical school. Given time constraints, it is no longer possible to individually introduce and recognize each named professor, as was the case in years past. I would, however, ask these most accomplished faculty members and standard bearers of excellence to stand as a group so that we can recognize you. In the future, we'll look forward to other meaningful opportunities to celebrate the achievements of our 11 named professors invested during the 2022 calendar year, the 6 named professors celebrated today, together with the 5 Manning chairs recognized in June, and to properly convey the enormous gratitude we feel for the benefactors who have made these specialty faculty appointments possible. This concludes our 2022 Convocation and Investiture ceremony. I would ask all the guests to remain seated while our endowed chairs and medal recipients recess out. I now invite Dr. Deborah Demarco, the recipient of the 2022 Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Service, to carry the university mace and lead our recessional. She doesn't realize how heavy it is, but I have confidence in her. Dr. Demarco, please lead us as we conclude today's ceremonies. Thank you all.